Oh, my little luchaloo, look at you with your paws and your feet. They are hanging off of the platform. So prim and proper, the angles. You are so beautiful, Alicia. Yes, you. She's like, moi? All right. So yeah, iTunes. That's another thing in the marketing footprint, which is great. And I didn't, you know, it was my folks over at Collab, the people who license my stuff, the BigCatDerek content. They're the ones that put it together. They're the ones that license my stuff. They help set me up with other individuals like the Indiegogo people. They were the ones that actually put me in contact with the Indiegogo people. Then there was the fact that they actually make sure that everything is good and legal and legit as far as my YouTube channel is concerned, and they do asset protection. Like if anyone else is trying to post my stuff, they're able to then put claims on those videos so that any advertising revenue that is generated by those videos is then, you know, goes to me. They work with a third-party merchandise vendor, District Lines, for the sweatshirts and the t-shirts and the try not to squeak stuff and all of those things. So they do a lot of different things. They do a lot of different things to help increase the marketing footprint, to help increase the brand, and I mean a bunch of other stuff that I'm not even naming at this point. I can't even think, because again, I literally only had maybe like 2 or 3 hours of sleep last night, something like that, and it wasn't even that good sleep. So I am burning up fumes right now. So you might be looking at this webcast thinking like, oh my gosh, Derek is really high energy. That's because I am sprinting to the finish line at this point. Oh my goodness, you have some noms. Oh, okay. But yeah, no, that's the way that the whole thing kind of works out. Now, there was a lot of people when I put out the Vine that said like, hey, iTunes, ringtones, all that fun stuff. They were wondering like, okay, well, as long as like, does CARE get money, and does that whole thing, and how did that whole thing work out? How does that work out? And it's like, yes, the facility does get money, but that actually happens, if it happens like via like a BigCatDerek specific like ringtone, or like the merchandise, or like the advertising revenue, it's the money that they, because Collab, I have a contract with Collab, you know, to be a content creator, and then they help to manage a lot of my stuff, and then they take their licensing fee, which is small, and then I get the rest, and then from there I divvy it up between a supplementary type of income and then the facility, because again, I have a full-time job outside of this place. Heidi and I, we don't get paid. We don't get paid by the facility. So trying to find a new and creative solution to be able to you know, make a salary. So if being BigCatDerek can pay Heidi and me, and then also support the facility, and that's great. You also have to realize like the number of just sheer donations to the facility direct, because ever since I started doing all the social media stuff, I mean, it's gone up, you know, tremendously. I mean, we may have already come close to, you know, like adding 75% of our annual donations, you know, ever since the social media explosion for the facility. So, I mean, there's been a lot of good things. And a lot of good things. And here's the other thing: if a ton of people, like if the facility, if the organization made enough money to warrant salaried positions, then, you know, like we wouldn't have, you know, we'd be getting paid to basically do this. Right now, that's not the case. So I'm trying to think of an interesting 21st century solution, pretty much. Because, you know, I'm a meteorologist, I'm a weather forecaster, and it's neat, it's all right, but I wouldn't mind doing something different. You know, wouldn't mind it if I were just able to stay here all the time. Here's another thing that you got to think about. Like, I could possibly get transferred at some point, you know, kind of relatively without much warning. Like, all right, well, you got to take a job over at another place. Pack your bags, get going. Okay, got to do it. So yeah. So you kind of understand, like, why I have things set up, because if I can then have a nice, even elevated platform to then step off of, I can still stay here at the facility. I can still be operations director of the facility, and I can be a self-sustaining entity, I guess, as a content creator. I have to reiterate, because I know that I've talked about a lot of this stuff in my early webcasts. I really did. I've talked about these things in my early webcasts, but I know that there's a lot more followers now and more subscribers to this channel than there were at the beginning. So I really want to make sure that I'm being, you know, very open about all the stuff that goes down here. And as far as like, well, how much goes to you and how much goes to the facility, like, I'm not marrying myself to like any like hardline percentages at this point, simply because the more that BigCatDerek makes, the higher the percentage. So it could fluctuate, you know. So that's kind of where I'm at. Keep in mind, just trust me, it's pretty sizable, the amount. It's not like, you know, it's not like I'm just like floating the facility a couple pennies and being like, there you go. No, it's large chunks of the stuff that's been coming in so far, which honestly, it hasn't been spectacular, you know, really hasn't. A lot of people, they think like, oh my gosh, you have so many followers on Vine and all these different things, you must just be rolling in the dough, and it's not the case. My job is the thing that is the life-giving blood to me and my family. My career outside of the facility. It just is. You know? So that's why I can't, you know, like, if they say you gotta go, then I gotta go, because I gotta support my family. It's just how that goes. But yeah, I wanted to kind of rehash those points and kind of talk to you a little bit more about some of that stuff, because some people had questions, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I want them to know, you know, so that they can have a good understanding of these types of things. That's all the time I've got for this episode of the Walk Around the Compound webcast, or the second installment of the two-part thing. I don't know, it's going to be a little bit odd. You're going to like it anyway, you're going to watch it, whatever. Talk to you folks later. I'm going to go to bed.